Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Make Better Things with Nirvana CPH and me, Jaxie G. Today we are getting luxurious as we chat with Chupi Sweetman, founder and CEO of her eponymous jewellery brand that have recently celebrated their 10-year anniversary. Based in Ireland, Chupi is well known for their stunning designs and modern approaches to the jewellery industry. On top of regularly using recycled golds and other repurposed precious metals, the most recent 1 in a trillion collection makes use of lab-grown diamonds and a brand new sustainable packaging suite, which we'll definitely get into later. A true revolutionary in her field, Chupi brings progressive practices really to an industry that hasn't evolved in what feels like centuries. From ethical and sustainable practices to accessible technological solutions, Chupi is certainly one to watch out for. So without further ado, let's get chatting with Chupi herself. Enjoy. I'm joined by Chupi Sweetman of Chupi herself. Thank you so much for joining us.
Jack, it's my pleasure to be here.
How are you doing? How's your week going?
I'm really good. I'm sitting here. We've had absolutely beautiful sunshine in Ireland. So half of our team are in London. Well, not half, but a percentage in London and a percentage in Dublin. And we have, daily weather check-ins. Very, very, very Irish and British. Talk about the weather is the first thing. And we've had glorious sunshine here this week. So we've done very well.
Really? Oh, I'm quite jealous. I'd say I'm sure you've had updates from the London side, but we're really, it's days in two halves. I feel like you start in the cold and end up with a bit of sun by the end. So who knows? Yeah, better than usual. Yeah. So today we're going to be really diving into your eponymous brand, Chupi, and hearing about some of the amazing recent strides you've made, some future projections of exciting things to come. But really, I kind of want to go all the way back, dive in and hear about how you started the brand and kind of what inspired you to work with fine jewellery.
Of course. So I worked in fast fashion in my 20s. I'm 39 now, nearly 40. And 40 is very important if you work in diamonds, because I'm obviously planning an absolutely ridiculous ring for my 40th birthday. So unlike most people counting now very enthusiastically to turning 40. But if you go back 14 years to Montpellier in the south of France, it's midnight in the middle of a wine festival. My now husband and I are walking through the little festival, and he gets down on one knee by a fountain, and it was straight out of Disney, and proposes. And I remember wearing my engagement ring for the first time and just thinking, my gosh, I quite literally own a piece of the future. Jewelry is fine jewelry is like nothing else. It's quite literally the autobiography of your life. It's something you'll own today that will pass on for generations to come. And I remember that feeling with my ring, thinking it was the first piece of the future I'd owned. So I'd been left pieces, I'd inherited pieces, but it was my first piece. And I remember thinking, one day my daughter's going to wear this. At that point, Jack, my fictitious daughter, who arrived 10 years later. But it was a huge moment. And so I did the only sensible thing, which was quit my job and started making diamond rings.
I love that. Oh, that's amazing. Very inspiring as well, that you were just swept up in the feeling of it all.
It was definitely a longer route. It wasn't immediate. I didn't walk home from the holiday and say, okay, I'm getting married, and by the way, I'm quitting. But it was definitely for me that moment of inspiration. I think there's, you look back at your life, and when you're in it, there are these moments, there are these turning points that your life moves on. And that for me was one of those moments where the world just changed.
That really ties it. I love that, because that really ties into what you were saying about these kind of holding the future in your hand. Jewelry really is our physical milestone, right? It's that reminder of all these different pivotal turning points in our lives. So that's a very full circle. I quite like that. You've just celebrated, or you are celebrating, I guess, your 10-year anniversary, which is amazing. That's what an achievement. How do you feel you've evolved from that first little concept of, this is I want to create these memories for people? How did that turn into the Chupi that we see today?
Celebrating 10 years. So Chupi turns 10 this year, which is huge. It's this enormous moment. And so it's, as a brand, we feel terribly grown up, but actually as a diamond business, we're still terribly young. And so when I think about our evolution, very much started quite literally in our spare room to we've 50 people on the team now. We sell in 70 countries around the world. We've nearly 300,000 people sitting in our community. So all of those things are amazing. But I think those are lovely numbers, and they're incredible when you think about them. But actually, the difference and the thing that makes me happy, the reason why I love what we do is we are, if you think about diamonds, traditionally, it's the business of love. So it's the day you get engaged, the day you get married, the day you have a baby. Those are the biggest diamond moments in our lives. But actually, we are love, hope, and everything in between. So we are there on the day you fall in love, the day you get married, but we're also there on the day you graduate, the day you get the promotion, the day the day you find the perfect job, but equally the day you choose to leave the terrible job, the day you find the perfect guy or girl, but equally the day you choose to leave the terrible guy or girl. And I think what's been really exciting for me is getting to see this journey and transition that the world is going on. And I think I'm really interested in equality and how we find our place in the world and what it looks like. And my mum is one of the founding members of the Irish women's movement, so sort of a very forthright feminist. And I've loved the idea that as women have gone on this big journey, and so many of our community are women, obviously with some brilliant men in it as well, and obviously so much of that change has been about how we as women buy and wear diamonds. And so that's such a privilege to get to be there, not just on the happiest days of our community's lives, but equally on some of the toughest.
Wow, that's really cool. That's also
Wonderful.
Huge big up to your mum. She sounds amazing. But you're so right. It really is about kind of creating those moments and kind of getting to revel in every single
and honoring them. Love and loss happened on the same calendar, and yet we only celebrate the hallmark days, the days that are meant to be perfect and shiny. And actually, our lives are far more complex. I've had as many heartbreaking days as heartwarming, and so I love what we get to do is, if you want your faith in humanity restored, come spend a few hours, work on our, whether our virtual doors or our physical doors, and just get to hear people and their stories of hope and love and loss. And you just think, my God, people are phenomenal. And that's such an honor. And I think what's been amazing about building and scaling Chupi is because social media has grown up at the same time as us. We're only 10 years old. So we've gotten to be part of people's lives. We've been part of their lives. Our team and I have been the last person someone has told just before they're about to propose. Literally a DM has gone in, a little direct message, and said, I'm about to propose. I'm about to tell the person I love most in the world that I'm asking them to marry me. And that's such an honor to get to be there on those days.
Yeah, that is, you're right. Honor's the perfect word. You're really invited into.
Yeah.
That makes me feel so warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, it is. I know there's big scary moments as well, and there's fierce moments and kind moments and all of the ones in between. But yeah, they definitely, the love stories, the hope stories, they're what stand out. And that's why it's such an interesting part of what we do. But equally why I would say we are a young brand, although we're 10 years old. The pieces we make today will go on for generations to come. So when we thought about the box, the packaging, how we grew up, who we were when we started, our logo originally was literally just a very simple version of my handwriting, a simplified version of my handwriting, because the brand is called Chupi and my name is Chupi. And we really wanted to take that on and elevate it to the next level and think about, for me, the brief was, I remember playing with the jewellery boxes on my grandmother's dressing table, and those tiny little boxes holding some of the most important moments in her life. And we wanted to think about, well, what would that feel like next? What was the next evolution of that box, of those moments?
I love that. And speaking of packaging and the 10-year anniversary, it all ties in. You've obviously just rebranded as part of your 10-year anniversary. What was that process like? You said you had some inspirations and some ideas of what maybe you wanted it to feel and look like, but was it a clear vision? Kind of, were there some bumps in the road? Journey of discovery?
So founder-led brands are really interesting, and so the greatest asset and the greatest liability you have as a founder-led brand is the founder. So I'm both one of the most powerful things that belongs to Chupi, but also one of the most painful ones, one of the most challenging things. And so, but I would say what I'm really good at is finding and working with brilliant people. That's the thing that's always driven me, is finding exceptional people who are the best at what they do. So when we decided the time had come, and we knew, kind of planning when we were 7 years old, planning for that 10 years, we knew we were kind of ready for a next chapter and a next vision and that kind of next decade. And so 7 years, started thinking about it. At year 8, hired a really brilliant designer, a phenomenal woman called, is on our team, Emily. Who's absolutely brilliant at what she does. And Emily joined to be our lead designer and basically reimagined the logo. And it was really funny. So there's myself and our 2 co-directors. So the 3 of us have equal weight in all votes. And I remember she was going to present 3 paths for the future of the brand. And I remember saying to the guys, I was saying to Kate and Brian, I was like, what if she presents 3 different visions and we all choose 3 different ones? And I warned Emily, I sat her down and I was like, Emily, this time, like, you've built out this beautiful, like, Gantt chart about all the things was going to flow. And I was like, Emily, the bit where you present and then we all agree, you should put in, I think, 2 weeks for a revision. And I was like, Emily, let's give us 5, because we're going to fight. We're all very opinionated. We're all going to want to have a different vision. And it was amazing. She presented the vision and we were all absolutely agreed. That was it. We knew.
Wow.
She presented the vision for the logo and the brand for that next chapter and next decade. It was it. She got it really right and really did a lot of research beforehand, did a lot of interviews with the stakeholders, and it was beautiful. We all knew when we saw it. Obviously, there was a lot of work. I would say 700 days from the day we started to the day we finished. It's crazy when you think about it. But yeah, it was over in a flash in a way as well.
Blimey. And does that extend to, obviously the rebranding extends to your packaging as well? Tell us a bit more about that.
And that was a huge moment. So I think, 700 days from we first started that kind of concept to the day we launched on the 19th of April and brought our beauty to life. And so Emily was our kind of first stage. Emily came in to do the beautiful vision. And then we knew next steps, and that we are really good at what we're really good at it. So we design heartbreakingly beautiful diamonds, pieces that will literally mark the biggest moments in your life and will become an heirloom. But we knew that when it came to packaging, we needed to think, we needed to step outside of our comfort zone. We needed to find someone brilliant. So Vincent Villaget was recommended. Vincent is just, incredible, absolute visionary. His packaging work, I remember the first, and we have other pieces in the work with Vincent, so not everything is launched yet. I remember seeing those first, mood boards he shared, and I was just like, he just is, because packaging is actually, it's design, it's engineering, it's creative problem solving. It's so much more than just the box you put the ring in. It's everything about it. So we met Vincent. He did a phenomenal job of bringing all of our vision together. And then Nirvana, he was like, this is it, guys. Like, this is who you have to work with. They are the best in the business. They bring my vision to life. And so we sat down with you guys, and it was wonderful. Like a really intense, I would say we were probably 18 months working through it. There's all the materiality of it. You can have the most beautiful designs in the world, but can you get them into the real world? And we'd huge asks around sustainability. We really wanted to get as close to zero plastic as possible. Really wanted to look at recycled materials, look at market leaders, what's happening in terms of product innovation. We do that all the time in our jewellery. So at Chupi, we're always thinking, we're recycled gold, we use lab-grown diamonds, recycled diamonds. We're always looking at how we source. And so for us, it was really important. We had partners who went on that journey. So with Vincent and yourselves and Nirvana, it was really important having that connection.
Definitely from my end as the kind of one of Nirvana's storytellers, let's say, to learn about the connection between, like you say, you put that much effort into your product itself, why not the whole of Chupi and its packaging as well kind of reflect that. Definitely struck a chord with me hearing about how sustainably progressive Chupi is, I guess, for the industry specifically.
I don't think anyone's perfect. It's really, there's so much to be done, but our job is to be the best. Our job is to constantly innovate, to not, it was really, as samples came through and we were going, okay, yeah, this is the best in terms of longevity, but actually that means it's going to be around in 1,000 years. And the only thing we want left in 1,000 years is the damn gold ring. So it was going, okay, when we do that, is that a printed paper instead of using, traditionally jewelry would have been leatherette, which is obviously ultimately a plastic. Going, okay, now what can we do in terms of papers? And really just making sure that the bits we wanted to leave forever, so like our little beautiful box, so our gorgeous little ring box, that was the piece that was going to last for 100 years. That's the piece I'm going to be putting my engagement ring in. That's where my wedding band is going. But things like our shipper, our mailer, that they would be much more really easy to recycle, really easy to dispose of, and using kind of the best materials we can. And yeah, we have a huge body of work to do because the diamond industry is not known for its ethics and sustainability. It is traditionally a very, very dirty, very, very, really low grade sector in terms of its contribution. And so for us, it's really just making sure we are doing our best, measuring, innovating, and looking to the future, and always asking, can we do better? And that's, I think, can we do better is a question that resonates with us over and over again.
Amazing. That's so great. And totally, I mean, touching on the fashion industry so much, I totally hear you on how we all need to do better. But that's why collaborations like this, I think, really show that you can, and show that you can have some beautifully designed things that break boundaries or cross new rivers. And yeah, it's very exciting.
Tiny things like our hinge is brass, so we went for a brass hinge because brass can be recycled. So should you decide, as opposed to the industry standard is a plastic hinge, and it meant a decision. So you can see on our little box, which for those of you who are listening won't be able to see, but on our little box, the hinge isn't covered at the back because you can only cover it. And now the poor Nirvana product team are going to be listening, going, "No, you've got it completely wrong." But I remember that conversation of being like, if we have to do a brass hinge, it has to be exposed. And I was like, it's fine. I don't mind if you see the hinge because we know brass is a better choice. So brass will ultimately can be recycled or will biodegrade versus something like plastic that never will. So all of those choices, every little choice we make is always asking, is this the best? Can we do it?
That's great. Now, if I ever see a kind of an open brass hinge, I'm going to know that it's purposeful and with good intentions as well. Something I really wanted to ask about was you've launched your 1 in a Trillion collection as part of your 10-year anniversary. I've had a little look through. I'm getting them all, but I really want to know what your favourite design is and kind of why. I guess a lot of thought must have gone into such a big pivotal collection.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So I think for me, jacket's the most expensive ring. Unsurprisingly, no one is shocked, but the most outrageous and most expensive one in the collection because, well, there's two kind of very big showstopper pieces. So that 1 in a Trillion is a beautiful oval lab-grown diamond, carbon neutral in certified carbon neutral gold, and it's beautiful. It's a lovely marriage. I'm really obsessed by the idea of imperfect beauty, of the idea that perfection, shiny, perfect jewelry is so dull. Like it can be made in a machine. It could be coming out of a factory anywhere in the world. And those beautiful things that make it handmade, that make it. So although we've 50 people on the team and everything is made in Ireland, so made locally, and it means that each one has sort of bears an imprint of the maker, of the goldsmith, of the maker of that, and that kind of imperfection in the beauty. And then also I love it because it's the marriage of the best of ancient, of heritage, of craft, but also modern technology. So it's cast using this method called lost wax casting that's been around for 2,000 years, and yet it's set with a lab-grown diamond that's carbon neutral. So all of those things coming together, and I love it. It's just a really beautiful ring that I think is timeless enough that you'll be wearing it today, and your granddaughter, great-granddaughter will be wearing it in 100 years' time, will equally be wearing it and thinking, yeah, that's a beautiful ring.
I love that. It's always going to be the biggest one.
I think if you're going to mark the moments, the question I ask myself always is, because our jewelry will be around long after we're gone, you need to also think about not what piece do you want to wear today, but what moment will it mark for you in the future. So if you imagine you're in your 70s, you're surrounded by friends and family, you're telling your grandchildren or your great nieces and nephews, whoever it is, and you're telling the story of your life, you're talking about a why, not a what. And I think, you're talking about the why. What was the moment? Was it the day you fell in love? Was it the day you got divorced? Was it the day you found the dream job? Was it the day you gave it all up to move to the countryside? And so that idea of the moment it marks for you. And so I think probably that's why 1 in a Trillion as a ring really talks to me, because I'm imagining that day in my 70s and telling the story of my life. And when I think about what I'm going to choose to mark this 10-year anniversary of Chupi, this next chapter, I want something that's going to be like, yeah, we took a crazy risk quitting my job, but it was worth it.
Nice. Oh, that's so special. That's a lovely story to carry with you as well. Like, you'll always know that ring meant that.
Well, it is because like it is that ask your mum, ask your granny, ask your aunties. They'll tell you the story of their lives through the pieces they wear on their hands. It's quite literally it's our biography. I have the day I fell in love and got married, my eternity, the day I'd spent more days with my husband than without him, the day my daughter arrived into the world. And I carry all of those. I wear them every single day and I will pass them on one day. But equally, it's about, yeah, that celebration. So for me, I always start with why not what? So thinking about the moment I want to mark, and then I think about the piece I'd wear for it.
Nice. I think my mum measures her future in her mum's jewellery that she's going to get.
Yeah, this is it, but it's huge. It's like it's such a crazy thing. Actually, my granny was quite sweet. She did living bequests, so she left pieces to us while she was still here. So it was quite special. So she got to tell you why she wanted you to have something, and that was such a precious thing. It was just a really lovely way of doing it. So Jack, I'm just making sure I have loads of pieces to make sure I can satisfy all future needs.
That's the way to do it. I love that. That's amazing. One thing I'm really keen to know about that I've been reading a bit about and kind of ties in with your sustainability pledges is the Chupi Upgrade program. It sounds really exciting. Could you tell us a bit more?
So the Chupi Upgrade program was a really nice one that came from, we had a collection originally that was also gold plated and sterling silver. So gorgeous kind of entry level pieces, really, really beautiful, made in Ireland. And then ultimately we progressed into just solid gold, fine jewellery, diamonds. That's partly the vision, the refresh that Vincent did, that you guys, Nirvana, were such a key part of. But we didn't want to, we had over kind of something like 60,000 pieces of those out in the world. We didn't want to just say goodbye to all of those moments we'd marked for people, because whilst the pieces maybe aren't going to last for those 100 years, the moments they mark are equally precious. So people can come back, our community come back in with something they were given. It might have been a beautiful ring they bought for themselves with their first job, and they come back in, celebrating their 5-year anniversary and get themselves, and they can trade back in their gold plated and sterling silver pieces out for credit against a solid gold piece. So you basically upgrade your diamonds. And it's really good fun. And then you get to keep the moment, the memory, but we trade the piece in. We can fully recycle those pieces back into the supply chain, and then we can give you a brand new diamond. So it's been really good fun, and it's lovely hearing people's stories as they come back in and tell them. There was an absolutely amazing one. I happened to be in our flagship store in Dublin in Ireland a few weeks ago, and I walked in and our store manager was in the middle of a really deep conversation, so I didn't interrupt her, and she beckoned me over. And these two ladies were there, gorgeous, in their probably I'd say 70s. And we did this necklace, and we did this necklace in gold plated, and now we do it in solid gold, of little letters and birthstones. So say you could get your and your daughter's letters, or your and your partner's letters. It was very lovely, really simple piece. But both of them had about 4 or 5 letters and little birthstones. And then each of them had a little disc with a tiny little star stamped on it. And I never ask people's stories. It's always so much, you don't want to pry, because it's this hugely emotional piece. And anyway, both started telling me that the little star discs were for the grandchildren they'd lost, the ones that had never made it. So just heartbreaking, and so it's 1 in 3 women will go through a miscarriage. So the stats are crazy, 1 in 3 or 1 in 4. And they both marked the grandchildren that had never made it. And you just think, that is one of the darkest days in any person's life, on the mums or the dads, or the people who desperately wanted that baby, and also on the grannies who really wanted and how loved they were. And so I think it's been such a privilege and such an honor to get to mark those the bright days and the sad days. And they wore their talismans. They wore their grandchildren. They carried them beside their heart, and that, like I said, that's such an honor.
That's wonderful. That's so touching as well. What a special way to, exactly what we were talking about earlier, with how it can be a celebration of loss or an acknowledgement of
and
it.
love. Just an acknowledgement of the love of the longed for and loved. And they were both taking their pieces and upgrading them into solid gold, which was just so gorgeous, so they'd have them forever. Just such a special thing to do.
That's a fabulous. Just also the upgrade program is fabulous. Such a great idea. Makes perfect sense. Feels like a win-win. Contributing to the like you said, the recycling and it going back into the line, and then getting your own piece out of it. That's amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So, Chupi, I have a bit of a cheeky question for you. Or I won't say cheeky. A wild card question. But kind of as we wrap up, I quite like to put guests on their feet and ask them a signature question, which is based off our slogan. So the idea is, if you could make one thing better, what would it be? Now, obviously that's a huge task. So you can be as silly and whimsical as you like. You could want to make mac and cheese better. I don't know why. I don't know what could make it better, but it could be a great example, or it could be something really big and profound if you feel like it.
I have two answers. So I would say,
even
Jack,
better.
it's a great question. I would say nothing and everything. I think my godmum always loved that idea of give me the strength to change the things I can and the understanding to accept the things I can't. And it's a little line that runs through. There are many versions of it out in the world, and she always said that that's the superpower of knowing when to change and knowing when not to. So I think I spend a lot of my time thinking about the future, about tomorrow, about the innovation, about the change in the world, about wanting more justice, more fairness, more equality, about wanting to build Chupi as a brand and a business with sustainability, equality at the heart of it. But equally, I think there's a joy in the acceptance of good enough, of perfection being the death of growth, of change. And so I wear both. Tomorrow of both acceptance and burning desire to change.
I like that. Thank you. That's great. That's two answers. That's, I mean, twice as many as we've ever had.
Everyone else in the future, you have to keep them on their toes.
No, that's great. And as someone that studied philosophy, I definitely, all parts of my brain are firing off. Chupi, thank you so much for joining us. It's been so lovely. Please, could you tell us if there's anything we need to keep our eyes peeled for? I know that there's some flagship stores opening and some really exciting stuff. What should we keep our eyes peeled for?
So we're nice and easy. We're Chupi, CHUPI, so chupi.com, Chupi on Instagram, Chupi on TikTok, Jack, which as an early 40-year-old, I'm still not entirely sure. I'm like, what's going on there? I ask Flora every now and then, our social media manager. So yeah, CHUPI, and we're on pretty much everywhere where you would find it's interesting.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to Nirvana for our heartbreakingly beautiful suite. It'll be gracing some of the biggest moments in people's lives for the next 100 years.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching. That was our interview with Chupi Sweetman from Chupi, the amazing jewellery brand. As mentioned, you can find them across all social channels and online at chupi.com or at Chupi, CHUPI, anywhere. And with us, you can find us at NirvanaCPH.com, at NirvanaCPH on most handles. Thank you so much for watching. Keep your eyes peeled for the next episode.